West Nile was neglected.
Theater cannot work without power.
We are risking, we shall operate you, but we are risking manually. We are seeing whether you are breathing. Yet this machine must be the one to know.
During the night, this hospital becomes darkness, as you can see behind me. This general ward has solar. The power is not enough. They will not have power at around 9 p.m.
The midwives, they use torches for delivery. Even they use sometimes their phones to light to deliver persons.
With every month that there is no electricity, somebody is paying the price with their life.
Why when Reco is still here?
Fraud, mismanagement, this concession was bad.
In Arua, we want to see factories using this power.
Whatever the minister has been talking about was hearsay.
We need more factories where this power is going.
We want her to come to Arua.
All these actions, I believe, were because of pressure to impress the president.
It has been a hell working in West Nile.
You cannot even charge a laptop.
Either the government hates us or they just don't care about us.
They were brought here last year. I'm June. As they're just here dormant, we have not been using them.
So that one, when you switch it on, few minutes, the whole lights will go
on and off. Here we call it nyanyu.
We are going to see onward supply of power.
Only empty promises.
Nobody is telling the truth to us.
Even in my office, these sockets, they don't have electricity in them.
West Nile was marginalized.
The district is in complete darkness.
We look like we're not part of Uganda.
There's something they're hiding from us.
Rhino Camp Road, a slippery and flooded dirt road, is the only way to get to Terego district in West Nile. This road also leads to Omogo Health Center 4 in Terego district. The distance is not long, but on this rainy day it takes us 3 hours on a dilapidated road to get to this hospital, which is the only health facility available in a 55-kilometer radius.
Yes, Yona. Yes. How are you?
Omogo Health Center 4 serves both the local and refugee community here and has capacity to perform various advanced medical procedures. The whole hospital runs on a solar power system. On this afternoon, we find the doctors preparing for 3 surgeries, but the morning's heavy rains means they don't have enough power in the solar batteries to power most of their equipment, so they improvise with a few lanterns on a stand.
But now, at this time, you cannot switch on, you can see. You see now the power which is there cannot give light. So
it's you're switched on, but
it's not working. It is not working. So as we are going to work, somebody is going to feed. You see that vegetables, these small ones. So we are going to use them, but they are not ideal.
The surgeons tell me that sometimes they have to operate on patients just by the light on their phones.
Hey, you don't give you light, the man's breathing, you not know what you are cutting. So you end up using the post, maybe a phone. That's how she thinks, and the thing she uses her phone, and then you maneuver around. So without power, it means we are risking, we shall operate you, but we are risking manually. We are seeing whether you are breathing. Yet this machine must be the one to know if you are okay. So that one, when you switch it on, few minutes, the whole lights will go off. You must keep on pumping. So now you are struggling, it will not score, it will not do like that on power. And because that on power, it will be moving the earth. It will be moving the nose around, and then it will teach you the things very fast. So if you are using this one, you can
so you keep operating while you are somewhere.
When their phones also run out of battery, they refer patients to Arua Regional Referral Hospital, 55 kilometers away on a bumpy Maram road. Many die on the way.
Like yesterday night, it went too far, so we started referring the patients. We said that we cannot risk, so we end up referring. Yesterday we had used during the daytime, we had very many operations. By around 9 p.m., they went to completely. I even wrote messages to the referral sites not to say the man is here. This is my midwife. People there don't allow any man to actually sleep. because there's no operation.
Sometimes the ambulance is not there also. It is there, but sometimes there may be no fuel for the ambulance. So it will force us to sometimes also ask the patients to look for transport to take their patient to referral hospital Yarua.
In the laboratory, we find various machines that have been lying idle for over 2 years since they were procured. The hospital's solar panels cannot support them. Of the many fridges here meant to store samples and blood for transfusion, only one is in operation. The lab technicians have to cramp all samples in this one fridge, something that they say creates a danger of possible contamination.
And also sometimes vaccines are kept here. So that is wrong. We are supposed to keep only blood in this place.
In the maternity ward, the solar system can only power lights. All the other life-saving equipment available at the hospital is gathering dust.
The preterm babies, they are supposed to be kept here until either they wait that they get or until when they reach preterm gestation.
So this one cannot work with the current solar.
It cannot run with the current solar.
So now what do you do with preterm babies?
All the preterm babies we get here, we refer them to our, and yet we have the machine, but the machine is not functioning. They were brought here last year, June. They're just here dormant. We have not been using them.
We're using solar when the weather is not good, when it rains, like 2 or 3 days consecutively, to find there will be no power here completely. When it happens, sometimes, especially the midwives, they use torches for delivery. Even they use sometimes their phones to light to deliver patients.
Whereas the Ministry of Health procured and installed a generator for this hospital, they do not accord a budget for fuel. The generator too lies idle. A few kilometers away from the hospital, we find Andati Sam Roy. This retired police officer runs a small business milling millet, cassava, and groundnuts in Terego. He has to hire strong young men and women to manually grind these nuts, slowing down his work for something that an electricity-powered machine can do in minutes is done over the course of several hours.
Here we are just using this small solar system, which at times, when the weather condition is poor, definitely it cannot charge. Like right now, weather is bad, which means we expect darkness. We have tried our level best to talk or pass our problem through the LC system, 3 up to 5, then above. But I can see only empty promises. Soon it became music actually. I can say it is now music. That power is soon coming. Power is soon coming. A week, months to pass, years are going now. Still nothing.
They continue to ask many questions, even including text messages. Yeah, they send messages to ask what is the problem. The power is here. They told us to allow power line to pass through our gardens. Trees were cut. We are not seeing the fruits, but we see the poles and the stream. But we keep telling them, you see, tell them government, you have to keep the hope. You must keep hoping that one day to come. But in my office, these sockets don't have electricity.
Aberu Sauda operates a petrol-powered grinding mill.
When there's business, I use like about 3 liters of fuel to run the machine per day. That is daily.
Beru says the price of fuel greatly diminishes her profits and wishes to use the cheaper electricity to power her machine.
Now my appeal to the authorities, especially the government, is that they should give us power, they should connect us to the power so that we do our business with good security, and also we can last here for maybe do the business for long in the day.
Back at Omogo Health Center 4, the sun is setting and in comes the darkness. The hospital is hardly recognizable.
During the day, we managed to capture some of the hospital facilities, some of the buildings, but during the night, this hospital becomes darkness. As you can see behind me, there is no light, you cannot see anything, and we're just going to walk through some of the wards and see the situation, how the situation is during the night time, because we saw how the situation was during the day, so we just want to see how it is during night. So you follow me. So this general ward has solar, as we've been told by the officials of the hospital, and that's why for it we still have some power there. But because it's raining, the power is not enough, and sometimes when it rains for a whole day like it did today, they will not have power at around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. and later on into the night. Now that mostly affects the doctors that work and the health workers that are working in the theater and the laboratory. If they don't have electricity, they cannot do emergency surgeries, they cannot do blood transfusions because they have to check for the blood, and so many other emergency services that cannot be given. And in the case where they cannot be given, they have to refer patients to Arua, which is about a 3-hour drive on a very bad road.
In the maternity ward, new mothers fidget with their phone lights and torches to see in the dark. Felix Warom Okello is a journalist working in Arua City. He's in charge of the Daily Monitor newspaper bureau for the whole of West Nile. Whereas he is early to the office today, he cannot do any work as power is off. He says he's not sure when power will be back and will resort to using his mobile phone to file his stories for the day. Okello says this has become the norm in West Nile.
I can't now file any other story. If I'm to file any other story right now, I can only do it through my phone, which is fully charged. But from the when the phone also gets off, I may have to look for another alternative, either where there's a generator in an internet cafe. It has been a hell working in West Nile when there is no power, and this is just within Arua City. Now, if you go to other districts, for instance, Terego, Madiokolo, Obongi. Like Obongi, it is even worse. There is no connection of power. It's like they are just in total darkness. People rely on only generators and then solar. So as a journalist, if you are supposed to file your story from Obongi, you must be prepared to move with extra money to pay people whom you are tapping the power from.
Bernard Atiku, a former member of parliament and member of a coalition of West Nile local leaders called West Nile Development Agency, WENDA, says these power issues are not new.
We were getting regular complaints of people dying in Arua Regional Referral Hospital. Because the moment power goes off, pop! Those who are being put on oxygen, that means the end of life. We had people who are dying while they're in the operation theater. Power goes off, pop, that's the end of this, the patient, the life of the patient. So we had so many complaints. I remember in 2008, I led a demonstration against Wenreko because it was too much. We mobilized people. I led people to the RDC's office. May his soul rest in peace. By then it was later Biriga. We took our complaint to him, our dissatisfaction with the kind of service that Wenreko was delivering. Because we discovered the HFO generator that Wenreko had installed was a second hand. It worked for 1 year. After that, it started breaking down. So coupled with issues of fuel, the breakages and what have you, on this side, Wenreko was also overcharging people.
Atiku, however, says the stakes are even higher now.
The capacity of electricity that has been generated has not enabled West Nile to industrialize. There's only one factory which is using about 2 megawatts of electricity. Now, at that time, when we had 3.5 megawatts being supplied, that means that factory would take 2 megawatts, while the rest of West Nile remains with 1.5 megawatts. And
by the way, we had factories here before. Some factories like Atiku 7 Hills, we had ginaries here in Pakwach, we had ginaries in Rhino Camp, we had big plants that needed the power. But because of having no capacity, having non-industrial power here, Atiku 7 Hills closed. Yet the raw materials were got from here. So he had to relocate this to Kampala. The ginaries in Pakwach and Rhino Camp closed.
In the middle of the crisis, Mercy Munduru, a lawyer and human rights activist from West Nile, led a team of citizens and petitioned Parliament to deal with the issue of power in West Nile.
Even when that World Bank loan was passed, we had a lot of hope. And when it didn't take off, and yet all these issues are persisting, we wondered what is going on. Year in, year out, when the situation would get so bad, you'd see our MPs standing up in Parliament, but nobody was paying attention. So when I opened this group, I refused to add anybody to the group. I just told people, if you're angry enough to take action, please come. And within that night, we had over 500 people. And WhatsApp, of course, limits how many people are there. And when all these people that I did not add, by the way, joined this cause and started to share their stories, started to share their realities, we began to build an advocacy strategy for, as citizens, what can we do? Because our leaders have tried and failed, even religious leaders. We went to Parliament to meet with the Speaker, and for the first time, it was citizens handing over a petition to the Speaker, because we had heard it. And it's out of that petition that the Speaker was able to summon the petitioners and also Wenreko and Electromax and the ministry to come and present facts. And I can tell you, during this time, I started to receive documents, classified documents that were depicting issues around fraud, mismanagement, the underlying, issues and political undertones around why we're in the situation in which we were. I didn't ask for these documents. And some of these were coming from the actors themselves, the stakeholders who are supposed to supply electricity. And so when we went to the minister and when we went to Parliament, it was so that, first of all, we asked the questions around, since government received this loan from the World Bank, why hasn't there been progress to this day? These are more than 4 years ago. Now, why hasn't this issue been prioritized at all? Work at that point had stalled. There was nothing going on completely. I remember when we were going to Parliament, one of the girls who was helping us to deliver the petition, her uncle was sick in Koboko and he needed emergency care. So they had to move him to Arua and he died halfway. We hadn't even reached Parliament.
West Nile leaders accused the West Nile Rural Electrification Company, Wenreko, of failing on its mandate and now want it out.
You cannot even charge a laptop. People cannot do welding. People cannot do maize milling. Now that is the situation. That's why you see generators all over, because what Wenreco can supply is enough for lighting. It cannot do processing of food stuff, it cannot do welding, and it's the reason why you see many youths are unemployed, idling around trading centers. If you go to Jinja, you go to Lugazi, you go to Bunyoro here in Kinyara, many of the laborers there are West Nilers.
People want to do small businesses like saloon, yes, welding, grinding of sim paste, those who are doing, small things, even photocopying, on and off. Here we call it nyanyu. It is nya means on, nyu means off. So every time it is nyanyu, nyanyu.
This concession was bad, just like many other concessions. Yes. It was very bad. It was a test case for the government, but it was bad, like many others. So government does not have the option to pull out of it. That's why from the onset it failed. So even while they brought Electromax to help, Electromax failed. We all know from during this period I learned about the proprietors of Electromax and some of their personal challenges with their business that was affecting their ability to meet their contractual obligations to West Nile.
In 2018, government procured a loan from the World Bank to connect West Nile to the national grid. Late 2022, government confirmed that they would solve all power issues in West Nile by connecting the region to the national grid by March 2023. It is April now, and this power has not yet come.
The minister went and promised the people of the region on camera. She went on radio. I was with her on a talk show in Arua 1, radio passes.
In Arua, we want to see factories using this power. You have to off-take, the grid will suffocate. So we need more factories where this power is going.
Whatever the minister has been talking about was hearsay to the people of West Nile. She made those pronouncements. The first pronouncement was on Twitter. The second was in Oluyo. Now we want her to come to Arua and tell the people of West Nile what or when her ministry will come in Arua to switch on the national grid.
With every month that there is no electricity, somebody is paying the price with their life, with their business, in terms of our security as a region, as students and pupils that are going to school. So our hope was that government would this time wake up because of the pressure of the citizens and make this happen. But guess what? That has not happened still. Nobody is telling the truth to us. Not government, not the agencies. Daniel, in December, we didn't even have water. I have messages on my phone from National Water telling us that they cannot supply water because of the breakdown and the inability of Wenreco to power their machines. They sent this message to customers. We couldn't even access water. We could hardly have 4 hours of electricity. So I wrote to the minister. He didn't respond, to the state minister. In February, I wrote to the minister. She didn't respond.
Stakeholders in the region organized a meeting at Muni University on the last day of March and invited the Ministry of Energy to explain why the delays in connection. Whereas West Nile leaders and the elders were present, the Minister of Energy, Ruth Nankabirwa, was a no-show. She sent representatives who also abruptly left the meeting.
The minister was not available. Well, she said she's out of the country, we can take that. But she had delegated the state minister, who confirmed that he would be at the meeting. And he actually confirmed that he is in West Nile. So he would be present. The technocrats from the ministry traveled and they came to the meeting physically. But the minister, in the morning, communicated to our MP of Arua Municipal that he couldn't come. And then the technocrats, you could understand, okay, oh, maybe being a state minister, he got taken up. But then all of a sudden, the technocrats were asked to leave. It was a directive in the middle of the meeting. You have citizens sitting there, others online waiting to hear from you, and you're directed to leave. What does that tell you? That means there's something they're hiding from us. That means there's something they do not want us to know. What is that? Like nothing is going on. And I knew this pressure because this happened after the MPs had held a meeting in anticipation of the coming of the president. Everyone is trying to clean the house so that he does not come and find disgruntled citizens. Everybody wants to show him that there's in fact progress, which is a lie. So all these actions, I believe, were because of pressure to impress the president. So for me, I believe that this is a deliberate effort. Either the government hates us or they just don't care about us and our existence. And I say that without fear because this last incident of walking away from a meeting, a dialogue that was not confrontational, that did not have people who had come to harm anybody, just people who are desperate, who are there to hear and to just get hope that something is going to happen, and you walk away from such a meeting, that is the last slap in our face as West Nile. And I hope West Nilers see that.
The leaders now say the people of West Nile do not feel like a part of Uganda.
What is their master plan for electricity for the people of West Nile? When I say West Nile, I mean the entire West Nile, including Obongi. Because Arua now has power, they have the infrastructure. But a district like Obongi, a district like Adjumani, a district like Moyo, a district like Yumbe.
Without getting this energy connection, we look like we're not part of Uganda. We look like we are in another part of the world. So it's a question of emancipation. We have poverty levels, which of course everyone keeps talking about, that are slightly below what is in Karamoja.
We identify as Ugandans, but the services we receive do not depict that we're Ugandans, and I hope government knows that.
Daniel Lutaya, News 24/7.
Thank you.